Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the Iowa House, Amendment H8316 addresses the legality of chemical abortion pills in Iowa. This amendment is urgently needed in response to the United States Food and Drug Administration relaxing the safeguards around chemical abortion during the coronavirus pandemic and the Biden administration further gutting those safeguards last year. Chemical abortions now account for over 50% of all abortions nationwide. This is the new business model from Planned Parenthood that requires our response. Chemical abortion drugs can be obtained online, available to Iowa women from an abortionist on Zoom, perhaps an abortionist based on New York City or LA. Chemical abortion pills are harmful to women and lethal to babies. They end the life of a preborn child and present a greater danger to women than surgical abortion, causing an estimated 4 times more complications. These pills cause infertility if used improperly and can even be slipped into a soft drink of a pregnant woman. The FDA has blown the door wide open for those who would traffic and coerce women, using easy access to chemical abortion for their own nefarious purposes. Far from women's empowerment, these chemical abortion pills in the wrong hands only serve to empower the most vile forms of human trafficking and sex slavery. The state of Iowa is our line of defense. I wish I was being hyperbolic, but I suspect I'm actually understating the social harms caused by easy, unrestrained access to chemical abortion. I know not everyone is intimately familiar with this amendment. Thankfully, it is brief, and the language and its meaning is plainly stated and easily understood for all legislators and Iowans. Amendment H8316 creates a new code section addressing abortifacient drugs. Section 1 makes it unlawful for any person to manufacture, distribute, prescribe, dispense, sell, or transfer mifepristone, mifegene, or mifeprex, which all refer to the same chemical compound. Mifeprex, formerly known as RU486, blocks the uptake of progesterone for the purpose of terminating a viable pregnancy. That is the only purpose of this chemical compound. Mifeprex is most effective at killing an already implanted baby up to 10 weeks old and loses effectiveness after 10 weeks. This chemical compound is totally distinct and separate from other emergency contraception products readily available, such as the popular Plan B pill. It's very important the state of Iowa prohibits Mifeprex because there are simply no other use for it, any use that is not harmful to women and lethal to babies. Section 2 of this amendment makes the provision of Mifeprex a Class C felony, which is not as serious as killing a person, but still very serious. Section 3 makes it clear that nothing would impose civil or criminal liability on the woman who performs or attempts to perform an abortion using Mifeprex. And also, to be clear, the criminal penalty would only be applied to the person who knowingly provides these chemical compounds. The construction of the prohibition in this amendment is identical to the controlled substances prohibition in Chapter 124, so this would not ensnare someone unknowingly like a mailman, the same way that a mailman is not guilty of a crime if he unknowingly delivers fentanyl. This criminal penalty would apply to the abortionist who distributes the Mifeprex. Section 4 clarifies that nothing shall be construed to prohibit the sale or use of any contraceptive agent. Lastly, Section 5 clarifies that this does not prohibit the use of an accompanying chemical compound, misoprostol, used in the induction of labor. So all in all, a very simple and plain bill, easy to understand the intent and its effects, and it's easy to recognize the urgent need to adopt this legislation, that chemical abortion is harmful to women and lethal to babies. Before I open it up to questions and a ruling on germaneness, I know there's been a couple of questions on why a budget amendment is needed for this piece of policy. The language to Amendment H8316 is substantially similar to House File 331, which was introduced to the Iowa House on February 2nd of 2021 and referred to committee. I think whenever the federal government, whether it's through pandemic policy or Joe Biden, is making rules that directly affect access to abortion in the state of Iowa and allows the massive proliferation of chemical abortion pills, I think it's important that we come together as a team, as a legislative body, and we have hearings on these bills. I believe having subcommittee hearings is a basic legislative function that is necessary for both legislators and Iowans to be properly informed on the relevant matters of law. But since that was not the case on House File 331, to me it feels fair to bring this issue forward to give the entire body a chance to weigh in. So to me it is fairly straightforward. If you'd like to prohibit chemical abortion pills in Iowa, then I would gladly ask for your vote on this proposal. If there are other reasons why you might not be comfortable voting, if you'd rather wait to address this issue until the Iowa Constitution is amended in 2024, if that's a timeline you're comfortable with, I have no choice but to respect that. I know there are many in this chamber who do in fact view abortion as a constitutional right, and you may even celebrate the easy access to these chemical abortion pills. If that applies to you, I would ask you to consider the larger spectrum of contraceptives and abortion health care, and for you to evaluate that these chemical abortion pills, comparatively speaking, undercut providing abortion in a manner that is safe, legal, and rare, and in fact creates abortion that is unsafe, often connected to criminal circumstances, and far too common for a society that recognizes the dignity of human life. That concludes my opening remarks, and I welcome any questions.
Is there discussion? The chair recognizes the gentleman from Clark, Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I question if this amendment's germane.
Will the gentleman from Van Buren and the gentleman from Clark? Representative Fry, your point is well taken. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Van Buren for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd move to suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of Amendment H8316 and ask for a division in a record.
The gentleman from Van Buren moves to suspend the rules, immediately consider Amendment H8316. Requested division of record, second by the gentleman from Muscatine, Representative Cisneros. This is now a record roll call vote. Will the clerk open the machine and receive your vote? Losey votes no. Klein votes no. Thompson votes no. Nielsen votes no. Ingalls votes no. Pritchard votes no. Have you all now voted? Clerk close machine. The House may attend to results of the vote. Those voting aye 2, those voting no 92, absent or not voting 6. The motion has failed. Will the clerk call up the next?